All right, good morning. Welcome to the April 10th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission. We'll call this meeting to order at 9:30 a.m. Rosalie, can we get roll call?
Commissioner Dan Zyson. Commissioner Finder.
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Here.
Commissioner Lawrence. Commissioner Layton. Here. Commissioner Milhaven.
Here.
Commissioner Toma.
Here.
Commissioner Whitney.
Here.
Vice Chair Curley. Chairman Lindblom.
Here.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you, Rosalie. All right, this meeting has been noticed in accordance with the open meeting law, Arizona Revised Statute 38-431. Agendas are available within 24 hours of each meeting in the Maricopa County Planning and Development Office and are also available on the Planning and Development website 1 week prior to hearing at www.maricopa.gov/planning. The staff reports prepared for each agenda item shall become a part of the permanent record for each case. With respect to hearing process, cases will be considered in the order they appear on the agenda unless otherwise agreed to by the commission. For each case, the applicant will be given a set amount of time to present. Anyone wishing to speak on a particular case shall fill out a speaker's card for in-person attendance or raise your hand within GoToWebinar. The amount of time allowed for speaking shall be at the discretion of the commission chair. Staff will provide the chairman with the names of persons who have registered and noted desire to comment, and those registered participants who have raised their hand. The chairman will call on each named participant one at a time. The chairman will conduct the hybrid in-person and virtual public hearing according to the bylaws and according to the rules established by the chairman regarding public comment. Votes will be done by roll call vote only, and the chairman will verbally identify the specific members responsible for all motions and seconds. Staff circulated the minutes from the March 6th hearing. Are there any comments from the commissioners?
You had noticed me as being there, and I was only there for part of the meeting because my system wasn't working correctly.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any other comments? All right, so we'll consider the minutes approved. We'll move on. We have a couple items that are going to be continued. Agenda item number 1, Z2023060 will be continued, as well as SU 24007 Wrangler's Roost will also be continued off of this agenda. I'm going to skip around a little bit. Let's go to case agenda item number 4. Case.
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Yes.
real quick, for the record, Z 2023-060 Peakview is continued to April 24th. There's a typo in the agenda, but not in the staff report, that says 2024. It's obviously April 24th, 2025. And then SU 240007 Wrangler's Roost, the request was to continue to the next available hearing, which would be April 24th, 2025. Just for the record, no actions necessary by the PNC.
Thank you for the clarification, Darren. So let's go to regular agenda item number 4, Mars headquarters Z240021. Do we have anybody here that's willing or is interested in speaking on that? David, do we have anybody online?
We're not aware of anyone online.
Okay, since we have no opposition, no known opposition on that, I'd like to move that to the consent agenda.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Z240021, known as Mars headquarters in District 3, is a zone change to Industrial 2 IUPD for 8.9 acres at the southwest corner of Happy Valley Road and 7th Avenue in the Deer Valley area. City of Phoenix general plan designates this as industrial. It is a city county island. There's no known opposition. The recommendation, paragraph 12, is for approval subject to conditions A through J. I'll quickly note this resolves the zoning violation. The current use is storage yards. It will need a POD at some future point. That'll be an administrative process. The IUPD limits the use due to the lack of sewer. The area around Deer Valley Air Park in the county is transitioning to industrial. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on the consent agenda.
Great, thank you, Darren. Is there any questions of staff from the commission? I think we've determined that there is no public interest regarding this case. So we'll close the public forum. Is there any discussion by the commission? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, who is this?
it's Warren Whitney. I would move approval of the consent agenda.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second? All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Whitney to approve the consent agenda, and we have a second by Commissioner Layton. Rosalie?
Commissioner Finter,
Yes.
Acting Chair Hernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Layton, Commissioner Milhaven, Commissioner Milhaven,
Yes.
Commissioner Toma,
Yes.
Commissioner Whitney,
Yes.
Chairman Lindblom.
Yes.
Chairman, we have a motion recommending approval by a vote of 7-0.
Great, thank you, Rosalie. All right, moving on to the regular agenda. Agenda item number 2, case SU 240008, the Keith Storage Yard. And we're ready.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This case is in District 1. It's a 5-year special use permit for an interim industrial use in the Rural 43 zoning district on a 1.8 acre site west of the northwest corner of Santan Boulevard and Recker Road in the Chandler Heights area. The use of the property is the storage of commercial trucks and waste bins. The trucks and the bins are both empty and clean when stored on the property. This is a town of Gilbert County Island. Municipal plan designates the site for residential. The city does have concerns, noting that they would not approve this use within the town. There are 6 letters of support, 3 in opposition. The recommendation is for approval. In paragraph 17, subject to conditions A through O, there is a handout today revising conditions J and L, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you, Darren. Is there any questions of staff by the commission? All right, is the applicant here today to present the case? Thank you for coming down. If you please state your name for the record.
Good evening, Chair, members of the. Oh, thank you. Good evening, Chair, members of the Commission. Brennan Ray, 2325 East Camelback Road, here on behalf of Mike Keith. As staff has indicated and in their report, this is a special use permit for a limited use storage yard on property that fronts onto an arterial road. We've worked closely with staff throughout this entire time to ensure that this limited use is certainly appropriate and compatible with the area. We've worked to ensure that there's belts, suspenders, and straps that the property will function as proposed today. We've got a very detailed site plan that identifies where activities can occur and where things can go. We have a very detailed narrative that spells out exactly what can happen, and we've worked with staff on a number of steps. In fact, a total of 15 steps that reflect what's on the site plan and what's on the narrative actually happens. I'll run briefly through. The site, as staff indicated, is at 17442 Santan Boulevard, which is west of Recker Road down in South Chandler Gilbert area. A closer look at the site, and you can see there that it does front onto the arterial outlined there in blue. We do not take access through anyone else's property. Access to and from this comes directly from that arterial roadway. You'll note on the east side of the property there is a road as well, or a drive, I should say. That drive is actually an easement for the property owner to the north of us, because as you know, we cannot landlock anyone. And so at the time that property was conveyed north of us, it was conveyed so with an easement, but that still remains Mr. Keith's property that's underneath that. So as we look at it again, in terms of the use and in terms of what takes place on this site, it includes parking mobile compacting trucks. There are temporary storage of empty roll-off bins. There is no on-site compaction that takes place. What ends up happening is these storage bins get taken to job sites where contractors and refuse is put out, and then Mr. Keith will take his compacting truck out as well to compact the trash to get more volume inside these storage bins. So he does not bring garbage back to the site. That is taken off and dumped elsewhere where it's appropriate. This is the site plan that was included in the staff's report. You can see there's lots of information on it, including surface covers, gravel, where storage can occur, where parking of trucks can occur. And very purposely, you can see it's really identifying where this limited use storage and operation can occur. From a business operation standpoint, you can see on there, and I won't go through it, but it's very detailed in the narrative, in the report, when trucks come and go, including what type of activities take place on site with respect to these roll-off bins. These bins come prefabricated. The only thing that happens on site is that there are doors that are hung, one set of doors that are hung on one end of these roll-off bins. And you can see a number of other things relative to when operations occur and when it has to cease and stuff like that. This will give you an idea of kind of what it is. You can see on the left, that is the mobile compactor truck. Those do fit in the garage. And per our narrative and per stipulation, 6 of them are being to be within the garage. We've got ability to park one outside. The picture in the middle are the roll-off bins. You can see there, and you can see the door that's kind of cracked off. That is the prefab doors that are hung on it. And then offsite only, just to again give you an idea as to what takes place relative to it. This is the property perimeter, and I know there's a stipulation. This fence, this view fence existed, but in working with staff, we have put up visual screening to ensure that the property is screened. And there's a stipulation that says either I maintain this visual screening that occurs on our perimeter, or I have to come back and build a masonry block wall. So that's very tiny print that is on your screens. I will tell you that those are 7 stipulations that are in the staff report that specifically identify all the things that we've talked about today, including, substantial conformance with the site plan that I've showed you, substantial conformance with the narrative, limiting the use as to what happened, the storage being limited to empty bins, the screening that I talked about, on-site assemblies limited to hanging the doors, and certainly the last one, Jay, deals with traffic and the hours of operations and when that too can occur as we go through the site. We do have a number of neighbors that are here today that'll speak in support, but just to give you an idea within your packet to identify where the support letters came from, they came from these areas highlighted on green. And so wanted to bring that to your attention. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, but we would request this commission's recommendation for approval in accordance with staff recommendation.
Great, thank you. Is there any questions of the applicant by the commission?
Is it my understanding from paragraph 0 in the information that we were given that this special use permit will then, if the gentleman decides to move away from this, that this special use permit will then go away?
Acting Chair Hernandez, Commissioner Layton, let me look at that specific paragraph. I don't know it off the top of my head. I believe you said,
Well, it's a lot of verbiage, so I'm just,
is it O in the stipulations, I believe?
yes. And I guess my question is, the gentleman gets the special use permit and then a year later he wants to sell the business. Can he do that? Darren's getting it.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Layton, zoning runs with the land,
Okay.
so it's not tied to the property owner. The conditions of approval limit this to 5 years, so it would have to be renewed after 5 years. If he sells the property and the use is discontinued or abandoned, then the SUP would cease.
But even if he sells it 2.5 years into it, it still only has 2.5 years left.
That is correct.
All right, are there any other questions of the applicant by the commission? All right, Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Ray. We'll proceed with in-person speakers, then allow those registered online to speak. After public comment, we'll allow time for rebuttal by the applicant if necessary. So we got a couple of people registered to speak here. Richard Moss. Good morning. Thank you for coming down. If you would state your name for the record and please keep your comments to 2 minutes or less.
I shall. Thank you very much. My name is Richard Moss. I am the applicant's neighbor directly to the west. No one shares more linear footage of boundary with the applicant than myself. I judge my neighbors on 3 criteria. First would be smell. There is no discernible offensive aroma whatsoever wafting up their property. Secondly, would be sight. Since they've moved there, they've made extensive capital improvements, a new building, landscaping, increasing the appeal in the neighborhood, which doesn't hurt any of our property values. And then lastly, sound. If I stand in the middle of my property, I'm equal distance between their property and Santan Boulevard, which is an all day long raceway of decibels that never seems to stop. I'm not even aware of what they're doing over there. So having said that, in conclusion, I give my support to their application for this.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Moss. Very
All
well
right.
said. Okay, we have Patrick. Sorry, I can't read the last. Cardaz. Thank you for coming down. If you would please just state your name for the record.
Sure, it's Patrick Cardez. I'm Mr. Keith's business partner and the day-to-day operator of the business. We are 2 regular guys that live in the town and live in the area. My daughter attends Payne Middle School. It's one of the reasons we liked it because I drive her to school every morning. We hire local. We're a local business. I'm in law enforcement. We have vets, multiple vets that are involved, and we want to be good neighbors to everybody there. There's no intention to do this as an industrial complex. It's a place for us to park trucks and meet up with drivers in the morning. We don't operate on the weekends. If I go on the weekend, it's to let my kids drive a golf cart around the job site so my 12-year-old will smile. We're done by 3 o'clock most days. The latest person there is me. I pick my daughter up at 4. She hangs out with me while I finish the day up. Everybody is gone by 3 o'clock every single day. We chose the area for its location, proximity to people that we knew, and proximity to our lives to make it easier so we could continue to take care of our families and operate this business that we started. So I just wanted to come down and say thank you for the opportunity for this and to thank our incredible neighbors for coming out. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. All right, next, Jay Earls. Good morning. Thank you for coming down. If you would please state your name for the record and keep your comments to 2 minutes or less, please.
My name's Jay Earls. I live across Santan Boulevard to the west of the property we're discussing. Since they've moved in, they've made great improvements to the property, increased the property value. When they first moved in, due to the construction and having stuff done, but since then there's no discernible noise or anything, and I'm out in the community a lot of the time, so I don't notice anything out of the normal, and I think that it should be approved.
All right, great. Thank you very much. All right, is there anybody else here in person that wishes to speak regarding this case? I think we have one more if we can get their speaker card.
I'm Craig Chrisman, and I'm a applicant representative. Anyway, we live. What's that?
He just wants to.
Oh, okay. Live about 2 properties down from where they are, and really there's nothing out of the ordinary that hasn't happened on our street for years. I mean, really, it just hasn't changed, and they haven't added any excess traffic or anything to what's already there. I mean, everybody has RVs and, storage buildings and so on that street, and I don't see there's nothing going on the weekends, and they're very cautious about evening hours. Everything closes at a normal business hour so that it doesn't bother anybody at night. It hasn't bothered me at all anyway, so that's all I can tell you.
Great. Thank you for coming down. Is there anybody else here in person that would like to speak regarding this case? All right. David, do we have anybody online with their hand raised or wishing to speak?
We're not aware of anyone. Oh, now Sally Skirble just raised her hand, so I'm unmuting Sally so she can speak. Sally needs to unmute on her side, and then there you go. Go ahead, Sally.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity. First off, I'd like to just state.
Excuse me, Sally. Can you
Yes.
state your full name for the record, please?
My name is Sally Skirball. I'm the resident owner of 17508 East Regal Drive. My property is located east of this property. I do have visual rear yard I can see the backyard. I'm right next to that access road that leads to the property directly north of them. First off, I'd like to say that when you guys were showing the map, the aerial maps, it doesn't reflect the current condition of the property of 17442 East Santan. And the green properties that you got approval from what I'm visually being made aware of, they are running commercial businesses. They're doing conversions of motorhomes. They're doing semi-truck repairs. One of the gentlemen is actually a landscape. He does artificial turf. So those guys are doing the same thing. But what I would really like to say, the property at 17442 East Santan Boulevard, Queen Creek, is actually being used as an industrial work yard. Employees report to the property. The smash trucks and 40-yard dumpsters are stacked and stored all over the property. A large structure was constructed for the purpose of doing equipment repairs on the property. There have been times we have heard them banging out dents from the large dumpsters that are stored there. The owners have placed fabric screening materials on the east side of the property on the wrought iron fence to kind of block that view, but the north side of the fence is not screened. The business does create noise, and it does disrupt my lifestyle on my RU43 zoning district, which is, their use is incompatible to my adjacent property, and the use is too intense. The funny thing is, when I first met the Keiths, it was shortly after they bought the property. They were trying to do a major cleanup. They had a very large bonfire in the back. The fire was so large that Gilbert Fire responded. And the Keiths were saying, oh yeah, no, our intent is we're going to have someone live here. We're going to use the property as a temporary storage. We are looking to get permanent storage somewhere else. And that has not been the case. I am strongly opposed to the use of this property in its current manner. I'm in a residential agricultural area. I do not appreciate the noise. I do not appreciate the industrial use of this property. I am strongly opposed to their continued use.
Thank you very much for your comments. David, is there anybody else online or have their hand raised?
Yes, I have a Devaney Kalash. Devaney needs to unmute as well on their end.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, go ahead. Thank you, everyone. This is Devaney Kellish. Myself and my husband, Dennis, are the property owners at 17448 East Santan Boulevard. So we own that property that shares that driveway with the Keith family. And so our property is to the rear there. We do have some concerns, and I did speak with Mike at one point, and he eased some of those concerns. But however, today you still kind of brought up a few. And I know when Mr. Ray was showing that slide that had the stipulations, it was kind of tiny, and I wasn't able to read them all. So maybe my concerns can be discussed from that slide. It's mostly the noise for us when they're doing those, moving the large storage bins and the trucks beeping. It's just those kind of industrial sounds that were unpleasant to us in that residential, as Sally kind of said, just the residential agricultural, we hear cows and chickens and, things just a normal quiet neighborhood would have. And so the introduction of the beeping and the big bangs were unsettling to us. So I know that noise kind of goes as our concern. The screens they put up are great. I like them. It's nice. I did tell Mr. Keith or Mike that he didn't have to put up a bunch on our side yet because I didn't want the mountain views obstructed, as the one large building they are using as a garage for that kind of took away a large viewpoint for the mountain from us, which was one of the reasons we bought that place. So he has told me that they don't plan to build any more large structures like that, or to stack those red bins very tall, but I don't know if that's been discussed, if there will be things stacked taller than that building or taller than a house. That's something I'm curious to, as well as that road usage. It looked like you were, Mr. Ray, explaining that they were going to use the Santan Boulevard, the new driveway and gate that they created on that, that would have them not using the private driveway. If someone could clarify if that is in fact the case, because that road in is kind of our only way in and out. We're kind of stuck back in the back there. So that would be an urging preference, if that's possible, to have the trucks use the larger driveway that was created. But it's mostly just the noise. And again, the other commissioner had mentioned the part if it's sold. So that is a concern. We do like to get along with our neighbors. And I don't know if the Keiths did sell, who would move in there next and what their plans would be. If it was zoned industrial, that would be a concern, because I feel like the Keiths are trying to work with the neighbors, and we do appreciate that. My concern is that if they moved, who is going to come in there and use the industrial zoning to do, I have no idea what. So that would be a concern if it can only be with the Keith's ownership. If it goes through, that if there's some stipulation, I don't know. So that's kind of where we stand. Thank you for letting me speak.
Great, thank you very much. David, is there anybody else online with their hand raised?
Not aware of anyone else.
Okay, great. Mr. Ray, I'll give you a couple minutes to provide some rebuttal to the people that are opposed.
Sure. Acting Chair, members of the commission, a couple of things. Number one, I think I heard a comment about bins being stacked. As you can imagine, these large rollout bins, they're big, and so they are not stacked. They are not stackable. Mr. Keith doesn't have the equipment on site to stack these bins, even if that was something that something that he wanted to do. But these are, if you've been to a job site, you're certainly familiar with the size of these bins, and so they are not stacked. With respect to repairs, there is not equipment repairs that take place on site. Obviously, with anything, there's minor things that happen, but if there's any significant, whether it's to the vehicles or anything else, those are taken off site to the appropriate location or service for equipment to be repaired. With respect to the road, as I indicated, and I'll try to find a, so that road, it's really not a road. It's an easement that provides access to the property owner to the north, Ms. Devaney, that spoke as well. That is Mr. Keith's property, and we have had discussions with staff about that and have provided, I believe, sufficient evidence to staff that shows that Mr. Keith owns that land. And so our right and legal obligation is that we cannot prevent Ms. Devaney access to her property. That's what's included in that easement. And so at no time are we going to deny her access to our property. With respect to vehicles, again, the stipulations are clear. Our report is clear that there's 6 vehicles, 7 trucks that'll be on this site. So this is not an industrial operation. This is a very limited use storage yard. You know, and we do have limited hours of operations. And as you've heard from some of the supporters as well, you know, there's quite a bit of ambient noise coming off of Santan Boulevard, such that they have not heard Mr. Keith's operations on there. So with that, I'm happy to answer any additional questions. We again appreciate working with staff closely on this and would ask this body's recommendation for approval.
Great, thank you, Mr. Ray. Is there any other questions from the commission for the applicant?
Acting Chair Hernandez, this is Chairman Lindblom. I have one question for the applicant. If he could address, I think I heard, I've forgotten her name, the neighbor to the north. She asked the question, what access they would be using for the trucks. Is it that road that's kind of to the west side, or would it be the easement? Would it also include the driveway that is the easement that you were talking about?
Through the acting chair, Chair Lindblom, access primarily would occur from Santan Boulevard, but there is a gate on the additional side. As you can imagine, sometimes it's easier for circulation just to have trucks enter in one way and exit the other way. And so Mr. Keith does intend to use, again, primarily the one off of Santan Boulevard, but will use his property on the east side as well.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I believe,
Yes.
entrance will be off the west and exit off the east.
Okay. Did you hear that, Chairman Lindblom?
I did, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions of the applicant by the commission? All right, thank you, Mr. Ray. Sorry, Darren?
Yes, I have.
Mr. Chairman, sorry for the interruption. I think one of the discussion points raised on the telephone, if I heard correctly, was concern about noise and potential for the backup alarms for the work trucks. I don't believe this was addressed in our technical review, and perhaps the applicant may want to indicate if when they're on site and backing up to drop off and pick up the bins, if there will be a beep, beep, beep noise.
Thank you, Darren. Yes, as is typical with trucks of those larger size than, you know, the residential vehicles that most of us drive, or even the F-150s or stuff like that, there are backup beeps that will occur on those trucks for safety reasons. It's not as if they're running the whole time, but it is certainly for safety reasons to ensure that people know that a truck like that's backing up.
Great, thank you for the clarification, Mr. Ray. Was there another commissioner online that had questions?
If I could ask a follow-up question.
Yes, Chairman Lindblom?
Yeah, one comment. Certainly I think OSHA requires those backups. I personally know what I would do if it was mine and I was trying to be good to the neighbors, but I know OSHA requires it by law. Second, is it possible to just have access only on and exit, egress, entrance on just the west side where there's not trucks running on that side where the one, wear and tear on that road, but two, just trying to eliminate some noise that's directly next to that neighbor on the west side? Is the applicant open to that, or is it possible? That's just my question. I'm not saying I'm dying on that hill. I just am curious.
I apologize, Chairman Lindblom. I think the question dealt with access, and I was conferring with my client what I suspected was the case. At the time that the gate was provided onto Santan Boulevard, it was our understanding that county staff required that be one way only, whether it's one way in or one way out, but that it was to be designed for one-way traffic. We're happy to go back and have additional discussions with staff relative to that issue to see about dual traffic in and out, but at least as has been communicated to me, was always intended that it was going to be one way. So whether it's one way in from Santan Boulevard, exiting out on Mr. Keith's property back to Santan Boulevard, or whether it's in on Mr. Keith's property on the east side and then exiting out directly to Santan Boulevard. That's our understanding of what was required with that gate.
Thank you. Darren, could you expound on, is that a county, we're pushing that it just needs to be one way for like a safety issue on queuing and stuff? Is that the issue?
Mr. Chairman and Chairman Limbaugh, I apologize. That was a condition placed at time of permitting licensing the access onto the McDOT roadway. We did discuss it, planning staff did discuss it as part of the SUP. And in the handout that's before the commission today, you'll see stipulation L.4 has been struck and replaced with new language that kind of speaks to that. And that is that the western driveway to Santan Boulevard was permitted by McDOT for residential use. The change in use to interim industrial must be evaluated by McDOT's Transportation Systems Management and Operations, known as TSMO, to determine if any access restrictions need to be implemented as a result of the change in use. The owner applicant shall satisfy the requirements within 6 months of board action. Did that answer your question?
Yeah,
Mr. Limbaugh?
thank you. Yeah, I don't really want to have to send the applicant back to get it reviewed for McDOT again. It's not that big of a concern for me. But if it was an easy ask, then I was going to tend to go that way. But thank you. I'm satisfied.
Thank you, Chairman Lindblom. Rachel, do you have something?
Yes, thank you, Acting Chairman Hernandez. I wanted to let you know that Commissioner Toma has a question. He's having some audio issues. He wanted to know about how many trucks come in and out a day, if the applicant can address that.
Yeah, Chair, Acting Chair, Commissioner Toma, in terms of the vehicles that go in and out, it kind of varies from day to day, depending on the job schedule and depending on what needs to be done that day. But at a maximum, as is in our report and is stipulated, there are 7 what I'll call commercial vehicles that could be leaving the site at the same time. Again, I don't know that we can avow that it's 7 vehicles every single day, but I'm also not going to stand up here and say that it's no vehicles every day as well. It just depends on job schedule, customers' needs, and stuff like that.
Great. Commissioner Toma, do you have any other questions? All right. Is there any other questions from the commission for the applicant? All right. Thank you, Mr. Ray.
Thank you.
And with that, we will close the public forum. Open this up for discussion among the commission.
I have no questions. I believe that you're trying to do right by your neighbors, and living in acreage myself, I understand that change happens.
Great, thank you. I guess I'll give my 2 cents. Generally, I would not be an advocate for a use like this in RU 43. However, it seems like this applicant is going above and beyond to be a good neighbor. I think that the 5-year SUP is appropriate. If they're not a good neighbor, we'll be back here in a couple of years and we can get this thing handled. So with that, I would be in support of this case. Is there any other comments or questions from the commission?
Chairman Lindblom, I have a comment.
Yes, Chairman Lindblom.
For the same reasons as you, Commissioner Hernandez, I and others spoken, I support it. The stipulations put in place should allow those around to enjoy the quiet use and enjoyment with, some minimal impacts. And it is a consistent land use with what I kind of grew up in this area and, not next to it, but this general area. It is district I live in, and I'm used to this kind of operations. I like that we have special use permits to be able to allow people to be able to do things like this so long as it doesn't impact others. And I feel like that 5-year does give the neighbors around a chance to come back to us and really show if they weren't a good neighbor or if things have changed. And so having said all that and the stipulations that have been put in place to limit noise in the evening hours and things like that, I'm in support as well.
Great. Thank you, Chairman Lindblom. I do want to clarify, I know 2 people had brought up what happens if this property is sold. The SUP specifically dictates that it can only be for a storage bin or for, trash bin storage yards that's clean. So if these people do move out and somebody else moves in, it would have to be that same business, correct? And if the business ceases for 90 days, then the SUP automatically is revoked.
Mr. Chairman, that is correct. If there was any argument from the property owner about termination of the SUP, we bring it before for this body.
It seemed like some of the concerned citizens were worried that this was going to be a blanket industrial use, and if they moved out, then any industrial use could move in here. So I kind of wanted to clarify that to put their minds at ease.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the zoning entitlement that runs with the land is this special use permit for this specific use and the same set of conditions, regardless of who's the property owner.
Got it. Cool. All right. With that, I think we'll entertain a motion.
I so move that we pass the SUP.
All right. We have a recommendation for approval from Commissioner Layton. Do we have a second?
Second with Lindblom.
All right. We have a recommendation for approval of SU 240008 by Commissioner Layton, and we have a second by Chairman Lindblom. Are there any comments? I'm sorry, Darren?
Mr. Chairman, does that include the revised stipulations in the handout to J and L?
Yes. That includes the revised stipulations. Are there any comments regarding this motion? All right, Rosalie?
Commissioner Finter,
I vote yes.
Acting Chair Hernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Layton,
Yes.
Commissioner Milhaven, Commissioner Milhaven,
Yes.
Commissioner
Can you hear me?
Toma, Commissioner Toma, Commissioner Whitney, Commissioner Whitney,
Did you just call me? It's Warren Whitney.
yes,
Yes, I vote.
thank you. Chairman Lindblom,
Yes.
Chairman, we have a motion recommending approval by a vote of 6-0.
Great. Thank you, Rosalie. Darren, do we have any other matters for today? All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming down. We'll adjourn this meeting at 10:13 a.m.
Thank you. Have a great day.